like to call to order the regular Board of Education meeting for Lakeway Community High School District 210, February 20th, 2020. Please stand for the pledge if you are able. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Janet. Ms. Janice Doyle. Here. Mr. Kirby.
Here.
Mr. Lucille.
Here.
Mr. Luchetti. Mr. Costick.
Here.
Ms. Stokes. Here.
So, presentation of the National Merit Scholars this evening. I thought y'all came from the meeting.
Good evening, President Costick, the Board of Education, Dr. Kingley, and members of the administrative team. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize our district's outstanding students. Tonight we honor these individuals for their exceptional scholastic achievements. The National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition for recognition that scholarships began in 1955. Of the 1.6 million entrants, some 50,000 test takers with the highest PSAT scores are recognized through this program. More than 2/3 of these students receive letters of commendation for their outstanding academic promise, and 1/3 of those 50,000 students are notified that they have qualified for semifinalists and can move on in the competition. This is quite an accomplishment. To the parents, thank you for giving your children the support needed to develop confidence, to excel academically, and prove that they could compete on the national level. Students, we hope that you know how proud we are of each of you. You are to be commended and congratulated for your academic efforts and achievements. We offer you our best wishes and hope that being recognized by the National Merit Program will broaden your horizons and encourage you to develop your potential to the fullest.
No, we'll just, if you'll have them come right over to the side, and then we're going to do a picture at the end.
Okay, you want them to stand.
Yep.
So students, when we call your name, if you would please just come over, get your certificate, and then stand over there. Thank you. I'd like to first recognize Brooke Anderson as a National Merit Commended student. She has applied to Miami University, the University of South Carolina, and the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Brooke plans to pursue a degree in chemistry. Melissa Bauer is a National Merit Commended student. She has been accepted to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Melissa plans to pursue a degree in aerospace engineering and computer science. Rachel Baumgardner is a National Merit Commended student. She is applying to Michigan State and Ohio State. She plans to study biology. Stephen Bielis is a National Merit finalist. He plans to study computer engineering at the University of Michigan, University of Illinois, or Northwestern University. Isabel Braco is a National Merit Commended student. She is applying to the Illinois State University and DePaul. She plans to major in English. Stephen Razik is a National Merit Commended student. Stephanie has applied to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the University of Miami, Ohio, where she plans to study zoology. George Birchfield is a National Merit finalist. He will be attending Carthage College. George is majoring in math and double minoring in secondary education and chemistry. Jordan Carter is a National Merit Commended student. He is applying to Washington University in St. Louis, Indiana University Bloomington, and the University of Chicago. Elizabeth Coe is a National Merit Commended student. Elizabeth plans to study computer science at Northwestern University. Sarah Cooley is a National Merit Commended student. She has applied to Vanderbilt University, where she plans to study chemical engineering. Emma Creech is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to attend Purdue University, Drake University, or the University of Iowa to study pharmacy. Ellie DeGroot is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to study chemical engineering at the University of Alabama or Ole Miss. Alexander DeJardin is a National Merit finalist. Alexander has applied to Purdue, Cornell, and Vanderbilt University, where he plans to study engineering with a focus on computer sciences. Ella Ems is a National Merit Commended student. Ella has applied to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and the University of Michigan, where she plans to study chemical engineering. Nicholas Everhart is a National Merit Commended student. Nicholas has applied to the University of Alabama, where he plans to study mechanical engineering. Jacob Volachek is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to Iowa State University, Purdue, and the University of Dayton, where he will seek a degree in chemical engineering. Rebecca Hedges is a National Merit Commended student. She will be majoring in biomedical engineering at Vanderbilt University. Jack Heller is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to the United States Naval Academy and the United States Air Force Academy, where he will seek a degree in operations research. Emma Husselman is a National Merit finalist. She plans to study biomedical engineering at Vanderbilt University, Duke University, or Northwestern University. Ellison Hollinger is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to study biochemistry at Indiana University, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, or Miami of Ohio. Alexander Jansen is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to the Illinois Institute of Technology, where he plans to study materials science and engineering. Mackenzie Jarko is a National Merit Commended student. She has applied to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, the University of Illinois, and Northwestern. She plans to major in biology. Natasha Jarko is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to study neuroscience at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Ella Kelchbrenner is a National Merit Commended student. She will be attending DePaul and majoring in animation. Jacob Camper is a National Merit finalist. He plans to study musical theater at New York University. Jared Kreis is a National Merit Commended student. He will be studying biomedical engineering at Duke University. Rebecca Kruzwick is a National Merit Commended student. She has applied to Grace College, where she plans to pursue a degree in digital marketing with a minor or a double major in Spanish. Jake Leonard is a National Merit Commended student. Jake has applied to Purdue, Michigan, and Cornell University, where he plans to pursue a degree in aerospace engineering. Jocelyn Lansbury is a National Merit Commended student. Jocelyn has applied to Auburn University, where she plans to study neuroscience. Elena McDermott is a National Merit Commended student. She has applied to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Harvard, and Stanford. She plans to pursue a degree in mechanical engineering. Karina McDermott is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to study business analytics at New York University or the University of South Florida. Madeline McDermott is a National Merit finalist. Madeline plans to study mechanical engineering at MIT, Harvard, or Yale. Kiara Martin is a National Merit finalist. She plans to study material sciences at the University of Illinois, University of California, Berkeley, or Northwestern. Abigail McCreary is a National Merit finalist. She plans to study English at the University of Alabama. Timothy Meskin is a National Merit Commended student. He plans to study secondary education at the University of St. Francis. Ava Peruski is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to study biology at the University of Louisville, Valparaiso, or Iowa State University. Michael Nasik is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to Illinois State, DePaul, and Belmont University, where he plans to pursue a degree in music education. Garrett Peterson is a National Merit finalist. He plans to study aerospace engineering at Stanford, University of Illinois, or Purdue University. Aria Corey is a National Merit Commended student. Aria applied to Northwestern University, where she plans to pursue a degree in computer science with a minor in economics. Tyler Quigley is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to Washington University in St. Louis, Vanderbilt University, and the American University. He plans to study political science. Ethan Rasmussen is a National Merit Commended student. Ethan has been accepted to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, where he will seek a degree in accounting and computer science. Mason Rohde is a National Merit Commended student. Mason has applied to Washington University in St. Louis, where he will seek a degree in environmental engineering or computer science engineering. Helen Rohn is a National Merit Commended student. She plans to attend Northern Illinois and major in actuary sciences. Cameron Schiller is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to the University of Louisville, the University of Iowa, and Miami University. He plans to major in finance or engineering. Mark Spurzuri is a National Merit Commended student. He has applied to Purdue University, the University of Illinois Champaign, Urbana, or the University of Michigan, where he plans to study industrial engineering. Patrick Seibert is a National Merit Commended student. He plans to study entrepreneurship at the University of Dayton, Indiana University Bloomington, or Bradley University. Isabel Tucker is a scholar in the National Hispanic Recognition Program. She plans to study chemistry and biology at Miami University. Chelsea Verheyen is a National Merit finalist. She has applied to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, the University of Southern California, Washington University in St. Louis, and she plans to major in computer science. Luis Villegas is a scholar in the National Hispanic Recognition Program. He has applied to Illinois Tech, Loyola University, and the University of Chicago. He plans to major in computer science. Congratulations to all of them.
Wrap right around the board table. If board members can come to this side, we'll just kind of all take a big group picture. Come fill in here, guys. Come on in. Right up front. Right up front. Right there. Right up front. Keep coming. There you go. Right there.
Make sure you can see me. If you can't see me, I can't see you.
Parents, move wherever you have to get a picture. Feel free.
Okay, do you want to tell me? Well, I didn't know if they had them there. What do you study? Yeah, what a small world. Congratulations.
Here, I went all the way down.
So, back to our usual.
Back to our usual. Back to our usual seven.
And we're back. They're way too smart for me anyway. I got nobody to press.
Student council president, who wants to go first this evening?
I can go first. Good evening. Last we spoke, Student Council was beginning our preparations for twerk, which fell last Friday with over 600 tickets sold. It was a great night, and over all of our students really enjoyed the change up of a Friday dance. In athletics, our student athletes that have committed to colleges and universities to continue their athletic and academic career had signing day on February 6th. Also, this past month, we sent our varsity cheerleading and Rhythm Nights dance team to state. Most recent, our boys basketball team currently holds a record of 22 wins and 7 losses and is looking forward to senior night this Friday. Recently, we had a group of students accompany our counselors at the surrounding junior highs to speak with the incoming 8th graders about what to expect at Lincoln Way Central and inform them of the upcoming open house which took place last night. Incoming freshmen were able to talk with all the clubs, sports, and activities Central has to offer and to learn how to get involved. It was a great night filled with lots of excitement from our new incoming class. New at Lincoln Way Central is a podcast, Everything Central, hosted by our principal, Dr. Fogus. It's a great way to stay up to date on all that goes on at Central, so be sure to check it out on social media. Additionally, our cast and crew of Clue, the winter play, is ready for opening night. They have been hard at work in rehearsal, and the play opens this Friday and Saturday. Within Student Council, we will be teaming up with the DoSomething.org to run a Jeans drive coming up called Teens for Jeans. This organization helps youth experiencing homelessness, and Student Council is excited to invite our fellow Knights to team up and make a difference for those in need. Thank you, and go Knights.
Thank you.
Good evening. The Warriors have been very busy this month. Student Council is very excited to host our winter dance on Saturday. Students and staff have been showing their school spirit by dressing up with the themes this week. Tuesday was Polar Bear Day, where everyone dressed in comfy clothes. The 30-degree weather did not stop anyone from dressing in tropical outfits for Wednesday's Blizzard Beach. Today was a whiteout for Blizzard Day, and tomorrow the Warriors will be wearing orange and black for Orange and Black Friday. Earlier this month, the theater company had an outstanding production of their annual Black Box. This year's Rise of the Black Box 2020 was directed by senior members. We celebrated 66 Warriors who were recognized as Illinois State Scholars with a breakfast also earlier this month. Many of our winter sports are coming to an end with conference championships, sectional and regional playoffs, and senior nights as well. This season, we had 2 of our varsity teams place top 10 at state. Our competitive cheer team, which I am also a part of, finished 7th, and our competitive dance team placed 5th. Yesterday, the Warriors welcomed their class of 2024 with an open house. Incoming freshmen had a chance to see all of the great classes, clubs, and sports West has to offer. Dr. Schmidt also pointed out to the current 8th graders that 6 months from yesterday, they will have finished their first day of high school. We are already very excited to see what the future brings. Thank you.
Thank you. David.
Hello, Board of Education, and thank you for being so welcoming to East Student Council Vice President Audrey Zednick last meeting. I had another commitment and I had to attend. I am very grateful her and I have a great relationship. So on the basis of a relationship and the month of February, let me create a better relationship between East and you all by telling you what the Boyd Griffins have been up to. Starting out this month, the amazingly talented varsity girls cheer team went down to Normal, Illinois to compete in state. There, the team brought home gold, where they placed first place. When I tell you that the crowd went crazy when the Griffins were called for first place. We at East are very proud that they have won first place in the last 4 out of 5 years. We are very happy and excited to see what they have next year. Moving on to week 2, the Griffins entered Twerk Week in a decade they might not be familiar with, the 1970s. This year, Student Council went all out in decorating, spiriting, and getting ready to host the over 1,300 students who attended. The event as a whole was a great success, and Student Council could not have asked for a better dance. And now, folks, we moved on to this week, where Mrs. Pearson, our activities director, wrapped up the Be Kind initiative. The initiative is meant to stop gossiping and bullying around our campus. This year, Mrs. Pearson has done 2 great things. The first thing she's done is putting hotline cards in the South Suburban Crisis Center, for the South Suburban Crisis Center, like the one I'm holding up, in all the classrooms and all the bathrooms. So students, if they need a card to find a hotline, they have one easily accessible. Additionally, what Mrs. Pearson has done is she sold t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right now for $5 to our student body that says, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, always be kind." The proceeds that are raised will be donated to the South Suburban Crisis Center. Additionally, yesterday, East opened its doors to the incoming freshmen so they could get an insight on how East will be next year. It was amazing to talk to all the incoming students, and I cannot wait to see their incredible success as I go to college. So with that, Board of Education, hopefully I made the relationship between you and East better. Thank you.
Moving on, there's no one signed up for public comment. So we have health insurance, standalone implementation. I figured you could help consult us about the 1970s for the we remember that decade well, more than anybody else up here, I'm sure.
We have with us tonight Dave Stum and Steve Hogan from Stum Insurance. They're going to provide an overview of the standalone insurance. We put quite a bit of work in to the presentation. Well, they have. We met Brad, Rob, Schiffbauer, and myself have met with Stum Insurance several times here over the past couple of months to get ready for the standalone implementation. So, gentlemen, go ahead.
Thanks for having us. To remind you, I'm Steve Hogan, and my colleague Dave Stum. You've seen the packet, I think, in your materials. We're going to walk you through some general terms to help you get familiar with the language around your plan. Do a brief comparison to what you're currently funding your plan at, talk about the protections built into it for you, both from an insurance standpoint, from a fiduciary standpoint, and then drill a little deeper into some fixed costs, because those are things you're going to pay regardless of the claims experience. And Dave's going to take us through that. The smartest people in the room already left, knowing we're going to talk about health insurance. So hopefully you learned something, and we'll continue these kinds of conversations. So,
thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Dave Stum. Happy to be here. Like Scott, Dr. Tingley said, that we've been spending a lot of time over the last couple of months going through a lot of the numbers, and I'm really excited to be sitting here today sharing an update where we're at, showing you a little, like Steve said, showing you where we're at kind of in the timeline and how what next steps we're excited to be taking. We had previously provided this information to you in the packet, but I thought I'd walk you through it. I joked with this gentleman earlier today that this could be a 2-hour presentation. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and keep it
not necessary.
I'll keep it under 10 minutes. You guys slow me down if I go too fast. But mainly we wanted to educate you because, you know, for the entire time that Lincoln Way has been a part of the affiliation, you've kind of you've had a self-funded program, but you've really just paid, like, I'll call it one flat dollar amount, and all the self-funding components took place behind the scenes. So you paid a number into the affiliation. That number is just shy of $9 million, to give you a flavor of what it is. And again, you kind of just paid that, and then the affiliation took care of that. Well, within that $9 million, there's a lot of different components. When you move out on a standalone basis on July 1st, you'll have those exact same components. They're just going to look a little bit different, and so we want to help you understand those different components, a quick education of what they are, and then show you what those numbers look like. So as I'm walking, if you can follow on the slide up here, some of the components that we want to point out to you, when you pay that $9 million, it's two giant pieces. One is the claims. Every time someone goes to the doctor, every time someone goes in the hospital or refills a prescription, you're paying those claims. So the vast majority, about $7 to $8 million of that $9 million is claims, okay? And then the other component is what we call fixed costs. And so projecting forward as of July 1st, we can do two things. We look at your claims history, what you've spent over the last couple of years, and use those numbers to project going forward. And then we also look at those fixed cost components. So if you're looking up there, item 1 is the paid claims, and we project using actuarial basis underwriting, partnering with Blue Cross Blue Shield to determine those projections. There's such components like medical trend, which is basically like an inflation number, as well as the discounts that you get when you go to a Blue Cross Blue Shield provider, whether it's a PPO provider or an HMO provider. Those claims at the hospital or the doctor are discounted. So those all make up that claim projection. And then the fixed cost component has about 5 different components. There's administration, what you pay to Blue Cross Blue Shield to administer your program. Send out ID cards to your employees, customer service line, things like that. The second piece is individual stop loss. That's where we insure any amount over a certain dollar point. Okay? So if you had $1 million claim, if one person incurred $1 million, the district wouldn't pay $1 million. You'd pay some number up to a threshold that they call the individual stop loss level. And you as a buyer can control what that stop loss level is. You could buy a $100,000 policy, $200,000 policy. We're illustrating a $300,000 policy. So you basically insure anything up to $300,000, but if someone had $1 million claim, the insurance company will pay the other $700,000. That's on an individual basis, so you're protected. Okay, we always want to make sure that our costs aren't going to spiral out of control. So one way is by doing it to make sure we don't have any one large claim, and then you could also buy insurance on an aggregate basis to make sure that we don't, instead of paying $7 or $8 million, then we don't have to pay $20 million, right, or $12 million. And so you can buy aggregate stop loss, which protects you on an aggregate basis, and we'll do that as well. And there's also a component called HMO physician service fees or medical group costs. A number of your employees, just under half of your employees, choose the HMO plan. And when you're an HMO, you insure the physician costs. Okay, so if I chose an HMO plan, whenever I go to the doctor, the district doesn't pay the claim on that. They just pay a flat fee to my doctor every single month. If I don't go to the doctor, my doctor wins in that basis. If I had to go to the doctor every day that month, my doctor would lose in that situation because they'd have to treat me a lot more. The doctor really plays the role of the insurance company, and you pay a flat fee for that. That's about $1 million. It's a big chunk. So you can pay about $1 million in medical group costs to the various medical groups that your employees choose. That's a great thing because if those didn't flow through a medical HMO process, that'd probably be closer to $1.2 million or $1.3 million. So you save a lot of money by doing that. And the last component goes without saying. Steve and I aren't up here doing this for free. So there's also the broker consultant compensation. So I like to think that's a very small piece of that. We like to be fully transparent and let you know that's built in there as well. So those are the components. And again, you've been paying that $9 million number going all the way back to the beginning of the affiliation. And now you'll have control on all those various components. So moving to the next slide. There's a quick visual. Some of the numbers get really small. It's probably more legible in your packet, but that's your bar graph of the $9 million. And you can see the green is the claims. And you can see the green is the biggest piece of it. That's about $7 million. That's what you pay for every single time someone goes to the doctor or the pharmacy or into the hospital. The blue bar is the $1 million I just told you about, the HMO medical costs. And so really those are your claims costs. The giant portion of your bar is those two components, and then down there at the bottom are the various fixed cost components, about $600,000 in cost down there. The gray bar on the top is the green number represents our projection, and the gray is your, because you're paying your claims. We could have a good year, we could have a bad year. If we had a really bad year, we're going to have insurance protection beyond the top of that gray bar. Okay, so if you can read those numbers, it's about $2 million of additional costs. But if you had $4 million of additional costs beyond the projections, the insurance company would pay that. So it's a very rare occurrence, but it helps everyone sleep at night, as we like to joke, that you know that your claims won't run at $12 million. We know that we'll project 7, and the worst it would be about 9. Okay, so that's kind of your bar of the projected costs going forward. That's an aggregate basis, and when you look at it on an individual basis, if we go to the next exhibit, we basically get numbers from Blue Cross Blue Shield that help us come up with what we call equivalent premiums. What do you pay on average for a person, depending on which plan they take and what level of coverage they have? And so you can see those are all spelled out there. If you look at the blue row right there, that's where it's saying that today You're spending about you're funding on the current 12-month plan year. Your annual projection is about $8.7 million, and now under the new proposal, on an annual basis, it's an $8.8 million. So you can see in the red there, it's about a 0.8% increase is what we're projecting when we look at a 12-month basis. Now the reality is this is really only going to be a 6-month gig, because we're breaking away from the affiliation as of July 1st, and then we will have a 6-month plan year, and then going forward from there on out, we'll have a 12 months. So we're kind of really only doing this on a 6-month basis. So just showing there down there at the bottom right corner, on a 6-month impact, it's about $36,000 more than what you're paying today on the current plan. So again, we're excited about those numbers, where they're coming in at, because they're very similar to what you're paying today. This is this next exhibit just shows a historical look back at the last 3 years and where you've been funding into the affiliation at those blue bars. And frankly, you've kept your costs flat from 2018 to 2019 to 2020. Those blue bars represent what you're funding into the affiliation, and the red bars have been what you've actually paid. So the difference between those, the blue and the red, is kind of the reserve that you've been building up in those years where we've been having good years. And as expected, as claims costs go up every single year, that red bar should trend up every single year. And so in 2018, you can see there was a big gap between the red and the blue, so that was the reserve you built up that year. 2019, the red bar went up, so the gap isn't as big, but you still had reserve buildup. And now 2020, we're a month and a half into it, so still a long way to go on that. But what you can see in the green bar, that's the projection on a go-forward basis as of July 1st, using apples to apples on a 12-month basis. So you can see it's right in line with the blue bars as before. And again, if the red keeps trickling up, it should end up right at where that green bar is. Make sense? Really last exhibit is that, again, of that $9 million number, this is the fixed cost. Again, you pay your claims every time a person goes to the doctor. Your fixed costs that we kind of spelled out in those 5 different categories before on that first slide. You can see, moving to the blue line at the bottom, it's about a $1.6 million spend today, and we're projecting just over that 1.66, so about a $48,000 increase on the fixed cost component. It's about a 3% inflation number, I'll call it. There's a lot of different factors in there, but about a 3% bump from one year to the next. That's really it. That was in your packets. One thing that we didn't have in your packets is our timeline, but wanted to just, of course, make you mindful of it, that there's about 20 items on that timeline. We're at step 7 right there in blue, that today we're making a presentation to the board of where we're at. And then from here, we'll begin executing the Blue Cross Blue Shield documents so that we can begin the spin-off for line 20 down there, which is our target of July 1st to move to the new standalone plan. Over the next month or so, we'll also be conducting what we call our ancillary RFP. So that's all the other benefits that the district purchases. Dental insurance, vision insurance, life, voluntary life, and FSA. Those pale in comparison to the $9 million number. Which is why that's the big driver, but now we'll conduct the RFP to make sure that those numbers are all in line, so that those will be ready to spin off as well on July 1st. Again, you can see we have a process ahead of us, and we'll be prepared to share those that feedback for you in April, and then we'll begin the communication to employees in May, and then loading everything under Blue Cross Blue Shield system in June, so that coverage is active and ready to go. And our mission is to have working ID cards in everyone's hands on July 1st, where it's really a non-event. Jump into your purse or your wallet, take out that old ID card, put in the new one, and you're ready to go. Everything's exactly the same. Employees' costs are the same. The ID card will look a little different because it'll have a different group number on there as the Lincoln Way standalone group number. But other than that, it should be a non-event for employees. All of their doctors and costs are the same. Any deductibles they might have already satisfied will carry over, and it should be a pretty straightforward process on that. So that was my 2-hour presentation in about 10 minutes. So I'll stop and catch my breath, and feel free to shoot any questions our way if you got them.
So when the employees do the transfer over, they have to carry over the rest of this year, any changes that were made, when do they do their changes, in December?
Yes.
Typically, so there is no change in them between June and July?
Correct.
So this
correct.
first,
What we call open enrollment.
right, open enrollment
Right.
won't be till the end of this year?
Correct.
So basically, it's, like you said, in and out.
Yep, yep.
When they go to open enrollment in December, will it be similar type packaging? It'll be familiar to them in December?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Well, and that's what you've hired us to do.
Right.
We'll look at, again, all those various fixed cost components, because those will be up for renewal for January 1st. We will be putting all sorts of options on the table and look to revisit those at the time. Because now when you're on a standalone basis, you have so much more control rather than just what process through the affiliation. So if you want to put other plan options on the table, new programs from Blue Cross Blue Shield that might help save money, make employees' lives better, again, those will all be on the table that we'll be able to do going forward.
And go ahead, Steve, I know you and I have talked about this.
Sure.
Speak to that process a little bit about some of the flexibility and some potential cost savings in the future.
Well, for example, just a quick story, we're doing similar work in a nearby district as it happens, and we do this work for non-school districts too, but they had a plan design paradigm. It was discovered that 83% of their employees in their PPO also were seeing doctors and hospitals that are in the Blue Cross Blue Choice network, and so folks are migrating toward that. The claim differential is about 13% on that $7 million number. So our goal is to educate your employees to have access and take advantage of the access of either a managed care option or a consumer-driven option, so that they can take advantage of those discounts that they're not even aware of, they're not even offered to them, for example. So, you know, part of our service model is going to continue to be education, education, and education. Folks don't make changes to their plans when they don't understand it. They stay the status quo. So our goal is to modernize your offering because at a $9 million rate, $10 million overall for all of your benefits, your folks need to understand it and they need to appreciate it. I think they do, but if we bring options to them, there'll be a higher level of satisfaction, so that whatever it looks like going forward, they'll be satisfied with it more than they are today, we think. That's our experience, and so that's what we hope to bring.
And just to add to that, it truly would be an option. It wouldn't be something that we would say, well, you have to do this. It just, again, giving people more options to choose from.
Yeah, today, you just know what time it is. I don't want to speak for Brad or Scott or Rob that have sit through these meetings. They know how the watch works now. And so we'll be able to pull the right levers to enhance employee experience, manage your costs, and continue to deliver administrative services that folks find it easier to use than it is today. Simple things like just getting FSA reimbursement smoothly.
So when it actually transfers over, you're saying like in June or July, there's going to be some training in respect to that, so all those options are going to be available for employees at that particular point in time? And
Great question. So on July 1st, no, it's not an open enrollment. They're going to have the same plan offering they have today. If you're in the PPO or today, you're going to be in the same PPO plan tomorrow. The contracts on definitions on how Blue Cross pays claims are identical. If you're an HMO member, come January 1st, we're going to analyze options, but we don't envision taking any of these options away. We envision adding options as a choice for folks, so that whether you want to drive, Corolla, or you want to drive Cadillac, you'll have that choice, and those differentials have to do with how much comes out of your check, what doctors you go to, what tax favored plans you can take advantage of. So every consumer is different. And today, your folks are driving one of two cars.
That's true.
And so we're gonna hopefully change that for them, so.
Speaking of the '70s decade, I think Steve just dated himself with that Corolla.
That was my first car coming out of high school.
So, I actually go through this every year with my wife with her work.
Sure.
Sounds fun.
Exactly. I do it much easier than she does. So, do you guys have like a consultant or a counselor that somebody can make an appointment with and say, here, you know, I have another kid, or I'm older?
Sure.
Who will that be somebody we would have, or you would have?
No, so you have somebody that today, Marion, that's the benefit coordinator,
Right.
and she is the in-house person that answers those questions. Our service team that Dave heads includes, it's a team of 5 people, so they each have different roles in this process, not only to support your team and Miriam, but to deliver, you know, this kind of information. So if you want to talk about that at all, but essentially, yes, we'll have a customer service team of 5
So
folks.
somebody has a question, they started here a couple years ago, and, when they're 23, they don't really think about it, but now I'm married, and I
Yeah.
got a kid on the way, and they don't really understand it,
Yeah.
and they,
So
what do
what
I need to do?
Yeah, what we'll do first is we'll do open enrollment meetings. So we'll
Right.
have classes, right, where people can come, and I get to be the teacher. And I'll tell them all, I was raised by a public school teacher for 29 years, and now the tables are turned, and now I'm teaching you. And we'll walk them through their options or what it can be, help them understand. Again, because there's all walks of life. There's single and I never go to the doctor, and there's married with a whole bunch of kids, and we go to the doctor every day. So we'll walk them through that, help them understand their options. Most of the times, people get a good sense of what they want to do after that class. If they don't, then they're welcome to come see us immediately after the class, or reach out to us later on, and like you said, set up an
Be
appointment, or
dedicated
call us, or email us.
Email, right. You have seen all this, but we have a 45-page deck describing our service model that your folks have evaluated, and today you don't have any of that kind of interaction that your employees have access to. So we're looking forward to it.
And I'm assuming that window's gonna be about 60 days, right? Probably October or something?
Yeah, we'll see how all the numbers play out, but yeah, it'll be up to the district and when but October, November is usually when that's done, sometimes even to December. It's really at your
I think
decision.
historically it's been in October, the first meeting. I'd have to ask Rob.
First communication.
Yeah. Great question.
Sorry, it's up there, I forgot. It's at the very bottom, open enrollment's in November.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, I know that's there.
Any other questions?
Just probably more for Brad. When do we get financial recaps of how this is working based on what we projected?
Good question. So, district administration will be getting those monthly, and we will put those in a special quarterly report to the board, where we're at, how things are going.
So that first one would be
Well, we'll, October.
Yeah, the data for the first quarter, July, August, and September becomes available in October.
And so, part of this projection, we've identified the actuarial equivalent of what the run-out claims are going to be. That's all included in here, so that's not only accounted for, it's insured, leaving that risk paradigm that you're in today to this one. Today you don't even have aggregate stop loss. You don't have that sleep insurance on your PPO plan. So all that's in there. So we know those numbers today. That you've just seen them. That's all in there, Joe. So when the claims roll in, we're gonna keep temperature on that. You'll get that regularly.
Anything further?
Great question.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of the regular meeting minutes of January 16th, 2020, approval of the closed meeting minutes of January 16th, 2020, approval of the payrolls of January 17th, February 5th, and February 20th of 2020, approval of District 210 advisory minutes from November 11th, 2019, out-of-state travel, and that's about it. Does anyone want anything pulled from the consent agenda for discussion? With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. I have a motion, do I have a second? Open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the action item. Presentation of invoices for January 17th through February 20th of 2020.
I move that we approve the invoices as presented in the package dated January 17th through February 20th, 2020, totaling $2,152,382.51.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to second. Any discussion? If not, if you could open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to the treasurer's reports.
Thank you. For the January 31st financial report, the district received $2.7 million in revenue and expended $20.3 million in expense. Now, if you notice those numbers, it's like, wow, holy. Well, that's because we had a $13.2 million bond payment on our debt service, so that's where we had all that extra money. We've ended with a cash balance of $8.2 million, and we have taken the first, not draw, but we had closed on the TAWs, their tax anticipation warrants, so our fund balance is $8.1 million. As far as monthly cash flow, we have to estimate out how things are gonna roll in on a monthly basis. We had three kind of revenue exceptions. First off, we received an IDA grant reimbursement, which is sooner than we kind of expected, or I expected on the cash flow anyway. And then we also, which affected the all other revenue category, the state made a very minor one-time additional payment on our evidence-based funding. That's really just to adjust us to that final calculation. It was $28,000, so but that's a one-time. We'll be back to the $761,000 each month. And then finally, Summit Hill caught up on their transportation. We actually received 2 payments from them this month, and so that threw us a little higher over there too. As far as expenditure goes, everything was kind of in line. We had a little bit more, or I'm sorry, a little less in some areas than we expected. Overall, we ended $1.2 million positive variance, meaning we had more funds on hand than we expected at that time. As far as year-to-date comparison, we are $5.6 million ahead of where we were last year at this time. You just have a special note, last year at this point, we had already drawn $2.3 million in tax anticipation warrants. We've drawn none to date. Well, if you count, we just drew some yesterday for payroll for today. But as of January, we hadn't drawn any. And that's how much better the district is doing financially, so we're really stalling off our borrowing. Revenue's looking good. We're kind of right on track. We're 0.4% below, or just above where we were expecting to be, so we're trending nice there. The state did just finalize their mandatory categorical payments. So if you're not familiar with this proration, the way this works is the state makes a commitment to us. We're going to pay, a certain part of your special ed private tuition, or we're going to pay your 80% of your special ed transportation. So then they collect up all these claims, the legislature allocates a bucket of money, and then they collect everybody's claims. When they get all done, they see if it's going to match. Well, it never does, and this is where they prorate us down. So basically what this means for private education facility tuition, there was more claims than the state expected, so that's going to be prorated down to 80%, so 20% non-reimbursed. And you see the other special ed transportation is prorated down to 83%, and finally regular ed transportation prorated down to 84%. Now, lucky for us, we kind of knew it always happened, so on budget-wise, we'll be just fine. We planned on some proration, so when you look at it, we're actually probably collect just a little more than we expected. That's if they don't short us on a payment. So revenue's looking great. Expenditures, we're looking great there. We're 1.4% below the trend. That's mainly due to salaries and benefits. That's the largest portion, and supplies. One area of concern, and we're monitoring this close, we know we will be over budget in this area, and that's special education, private facilities. That is due to additional outplaced students and higher daily tuition that the state has approved. So we know we're gonna be over there, you know, maybe a couple $100,000, we're monitoring that very closely. We will be overall for all expenditures, I know we'll be under our budget, but we're definitely going to be over in that one little category. So with that, I just ask for approval and answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Brad? If none, I entertain a motion to pass the treasurer's report for January 2020 as presented. A motion, I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Open vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on, student activities.
Report is in your backup materials. There were no accounts that had a negative balance at the end of January, so it's very positive. And then one new account is being requested from Lincoln Way Central, the Anglers Club. Students who are competing in bass fishing tournaments in the IHSA State Series. This will pay for tournament entry fees, boat launch fees, website registrations, fuel and travel expenses, and IHSA jerseys. Some fishing equipment and fundraising and will offset this. Last year was their first year. It was tremendously successful. Kids had an unbelievable experience, fished in a number of tournaments, had some success. And so I believe we have over 30 students.
I'm actually a volunteer coach. There's almost 40.
Almost 40.
The team is gonna be 16. And you know, the unique thing about this club is, Coach Jeff, who does a great job, does not allow, like, Richie's not qualified. He can't fish in any state sanctioned tournament because he plays baseball. So he's not allowing they can be on the team, but they can't compete in the tournament. So all of these kids that are competing, this is a lot of them, their only deal.
More than
It's the
half
only
last
thing-
year was the only activity they did, so we
At
thought it
school.
was an outstanding.
So it's the only thing that connects them to the school.
Yeah.
I know last night.
Only the Central so far. We have not had any demand from the other schools.
I think East is starting, not Sharon?
Yeah, I was, last night.
Is
there
East?
was-
Okay.
East just started, right?
There you go.
They had
West
an excellent
Cape.
turnout. That's the sign-up
Oh,
sheet.
the sign-up
I was
sheet.
talking to the two volunteer coaches and
So
never had any.
next year will be your first year, right?
Actually, this spring, we're hoping to get it started.
But they won't compete in the IHSA series this spring. Yeah, they would start with the club. So we're requesting to open that account for their fundraising purposes.
Any further discussion? With that, I'd entertain a motion to pass the student activities report for January 2020 as presented.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. If you'd open the vote, please.
Vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on. Employment. Mr. Schiffbauer.
Good evening. Under employment, we have David Brown, English teacher, head boys soccer coach, Lincoln Way Central. Barbara Edwards, paraprofessional, Lincoln Way East. Charles Egner, social worker, Lincoln Way East. Maria Grant, social worker, Lincoln Way Central. Dave Lukey, coordinator, Bridges Program, District. Ginger Novokas, food service, Lincoln Way East. Jill Pika, food service, Lincoln Way East. Matt Ribbons, PE teacher, head boys soccer coach, Lincoln Way East. Ray Strzelkowski, social worker, Lincoln Way Central. And Libby Tiffy, social worker, Lincoln Way East. I ask the board to approve the employment report as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion.
Move.
I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Real quick, Rob did an excellent job going out and finding our social workers. I was at an administrative meeting a month ago where everybody was frantic about a shortage. We got it posted early. We had excellent candidates, so good work on that. I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve. Usually usually March, April is your hiring period, so we think we locked up 4 good ones. We're very happy with that, so good work on that.
Open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Resignations?
All right, under resignations, we have Kayla Garcia, paraprofessional, Alexa Powers, assistant fall and winter cheer coach, Lincoln Way Central, and Cynthia Shacknet, food service. And leaves as well. We also have Keith Nzinga is asking to take a sabbatical leave for the 2020-2021 school year. I ask the board to approve these leaves and resignations as presented.
I have a motion. A motion, I have a second.
Who
Second.
motioned? I'm sorry.
Did you want that?
Motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, you threw your hand up. I thought you motioned.
I was bidding.
Okay. Any discussion? If you could open the vote, please.
The vote is open.
Playing blackjack.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you. Retirements.
Under retirements, we have Barry Kennedy, paraprofessional, Lincoln Way East, and Charles Martin, mechanic, transportation center. I ask the board to approve these retirements as presented.
Thank you. I have a motion.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second? And a second.
Second.
No discussion. If you open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on, interfund loan resolution.
Yes, as we move into our season of borrowing, in order to minimize the amount of tax anticipation warrants outstanding at any time, we are doing a series of loaning between funds as cash flow is needed in other funds. So at this time, we need to loan from the education fund to operation and maintenance of $700,000, and we need to loan from education to transportation of $200,000, so the end of the month will all be with positive cash balances. We ask the board to approve this interfund loan.
These amounts keep getting smaller and smaller every year. Good to see. Do I have a motion to improve the interfund loan resolution as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to second. Is there any discussion?
I just have a question. So then, these are reconciled at the end of the fiscal year? Is that how you work it?
Exactly. So interfund loans have to be paid off by the end of the fiscal year. So as we collect the taxes, then the loans we paid back, ultimately where the final payback is to the working cash. If you remember, in the very beginning of the year, we took working cash and moved it all to education. That deferred our TAWs for several months. Now these funds are in need, so we're going to be transferring from the ed to them. Then once we collect our first taxes, then it'll all be transferred back to working cash.
So then all the loan payments will have been made, and the TAWS payments will be made all within the same fiscal year?
Yes, this year, we're anticipating being able to, well, first off, the loans are always
Oh, it's
paid
gotta
off
be paid, right.
in the fiscal year, but for the first time, we will actually be able to pay off our tax anticipation notes also by June 30th. Typically, that has dragged on to September, October, no later than, because we typically, when we get that third or second major payment in September, we've always been able to pay off. But we'll be able to pay off this year in the first tax levy collection.
Very good.
No further discussion. If you open the vote, please.
The vote is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to informational items. 8:43 meeting.
I have nothing to add.
Very good. Moving on, FOIA requests.
FOIA requests are presented in the backup materials for review. I can answer any questions. There were 4 or 5 this last month.
Building and grounds.
If there are no questions, I know Rich had a very detailed report once again.
Community relations.
Backup, in your backup materials for your review.
Asset of the month.
Asset type, high expectations. This is from March. Positive peer influence. Young people surround themselves with those who model responsible behavior. Invite your children's friends to spend time in your home. Make them feel welcome and try to get to know them. Include them in some of your family activities at school. Train students to be peer counselors or peer helpers. In fact, all of our students this last weekend were on their peer mediator field trips. Choose kids who can become good role models and who are liked by their peers, and in the community provide opportunities for young people to model positive, responsible behavior for each other.
Thank you. 210 advisory.
The 210 Advisory Committee continued its discussion on the graduation designations and cum laude designations. We will have something to bring back to the board in March for vote.
And that will be for next year, right? Sharon? Yes, for
Yes,
next year.
yes.
Perfect.
We will also begin our discussion on the handbook in March as well. That's it.
Thank you. First reading, Board of Education meeting schedule for 2021.
I included a draft schedule. If everyone could just take a minute over the next couple weeks, take a look at that. If you have any conflicts or concerns, get those back to me, and then we can discuss those moving into the following year. This is based upon a fiscal year cycle, so we do have a meeting at the end of June. The last 2 years, we have not had a meeting in July, and that seemed to be just fine. And then we have our fiscal close August 13th, and the first look at the budget, and then September come back with the budget. This timeline is tended to work here the last couple of years, but if there are any concerns, please get those to me prior to the next meeting. We will look to adopt the meeting schedule in March for the 2021 school year.
The debt restructuring calendar.
Brad, go ahead and give us an overview of that, please.
Yes, okay, included in your packets is, per your request, PMA put together a detailed timeline that would need or should be considered for phase 2 of the bond restructuring. I think the first thing is we kind of had some discussions a couple of meetings ago. I think board members were thinking we'd be about a year earlier than what this timeline. And I know as I reflect back on that, the reason why is because we really remember we levy a year in arrears. So when we were thinking about, okay, levy year 21, that's our next time we got to worry about that. But actually, that's not going to happen until 22. So the real critical deadline out there is March 1st of 22. That's the deadline for us to affect the levy year 21. And levy year 21 is the next significant jump up in the debt service due to those 2006 cabs that our principals are coming due. So they have not had any principal payment, well, they've had minor, but they'll have a big principal payment coming due then, and the board will need to decide if that's going to be refinanced or defeased or what. So with all that being said, PMA put together this information. They said we really need to be looking, that they recommended November of 21. We'll have plenty of discussions with the 5CAS about this over the time, and if we wanted to begin sooner than November 21, we certainly could. So, the point to be made here is we got a little time, but we're going to continue to monitor and watch it. So we'll keep you updated as we go through the 5CAS, and with that, I just entertain any questions on this calendar.
More of a comment than a question, I guess, but because this is November of 21, I mean, obviously we're almost 2 years away from that date. If we have other strategies other than just a pure type of restructuring or whatever, I'm focused on the fees thing, okay? And we were going to decide that we were going to start to take cash toward the reduction of this. Wouldn't those discussions begin now, as we start to prepare a budget for the next fiscal year?
Well, I would say that those discussions should be part of our 5CAS discussions, actually pre-budget preparation.
Right.
So,
That would be now.
right, so March, I think that's going to be the case.
Okay.
then I think the board, we need to begin that discussion in March when we do our 5CAS presentation.
I know, the seed I'm planting, just at the risk of full disclosure, is that, you know, Brad commented earlier tonight in the treasurer's report, everything's fine, we're gonna stay within our policy 420 type scenario. Our cash flow is now cycling through a fiscal period, so we're not carrying debt into the next fiscal period. And we're gonna have a year, a fiscal period and a half as we start to approach this. And we can either, and then those resources are gonna be pulled in a multiple directions. And I think that as a board, now is the time to start to focus, because this is sitting out here. Now, I know that the possibility of selling North is out there, possibility of selling other assets still exists, but there's other things that can be done to prepare for this, to limit that impact when people get their real estate tax bills when this is out there. And it's not, and my humble opinion, my one person opinion, is it doesn't start in November of 21. It starts, I'll go with March of 20, just to put a date on it, so that we're prepared that if we go into the next fiscal year, we've said that, yes, we know there's gonna be X amount of monies, but that's gonna be set aside as a possible defeasance strategy.
Yep, and I think you make a very good point. So to go along with that, I think would be that TAW draw schedule of what it looks like that next following year, because as we've discussed, if it means continuing to borrow $4 million, but being able to put $3 million during that time of defeasance, to be able to provide that at least to the board as an option to show what that would do to the amount of the bond to the taxpayer. So that's something we will have ready for the March discussion.
There's multiple.
Absolutely, different
dimensions
scenarios.
that
Yep.
fit into this. That's, when I read this and I was looking through it, I had to say it out loud.
Yeah, don't wait until
Right.
November 20.
We've been doing it now, and now that we've got it all captured within one fiscal year, there's no carryover, it's gonna give us 18 months to prepare for whatever scenario as a board.
You want to do.
Correct.
Good. I think that's good. Thanks, Joe. Legislative report? Nothing to report yet. Superintendent's report. Just a couple of things. We did have the open house last night. All three principals and administrative teams and teaching staffs did an outstanding job. Received several positive emails from parents and community members. I had a good friend that was kind of on the fence, Providence, Mount Carmel, Lincoln Way, and last night at 9:30 I was glad to get a text. All right, you were right. This is a no-brainer. So it was a good night for everyone. I know Joe was able to experience as a parent for the first time last night. So.
Yeah, it was amazing walking through that gym at Lincoln Way. I said I couldn't imagine these resources where anybody would ever want to leave this district and not keep their kids here. With the option, it's really quite remarkable, and not only the offerings, but the student participation, the student leaders that were out last night were just what fine young men and women they had out last night. And really made everyone feel welcome, and but I thought it was going to take an hour or two, because you can tell there's no all the people that were there. Think you could have refreshments, so you'd still be in the gym there talking. So it was a great evening. Good. Great evening.
Good. We, as you noted, we did not have our capital projects on the list this evening. Some of the bids came in higher than what we had anticipated and what we had budgeted for. So over the next 3 weeks, in fact, Brad, Rich, and myself are meeting tomorrow afternoon to go back through all of those bids, go back then and work with our architects, determine which projects we may want to rebid, what we want to look at some of the variance reports that we received back from our architects. So we'll work through that and bring a list back for board discussion in March. Also in March, we will like to discuss student fees for the upcoming year. So over the next 2 weeks, you'll receive some comparisons from me of other similar districts that we've done every year. And then the administrative, what we would recommend in terms of fee structures. If there's anything that you would like for us to look at in the next month, let us know, and we'll be sure to include that in our comparisons and our analysis. Thank you. Moving on. Anything we'd like to add?
No, transportation.
Transportation. We'll throw it out there.
It's a good point. I mean, we looked today, transportation is funded by the state at 84%. So that's leaving 16% out there. You know, that's something we will look at. We've been discussing it for a couple of years, so we'll have something to talk about. And then that would conclude my superintendent's report.
Moving on, Lincoln Way East surplus property.
Yes, per board policy 480, this is an informational item. The superintendent does have the authority to dispose of property of diminished value. However, we need to notify the board. The marching band / music had included in your report several pieces of equipment that is no longer needed or in good repair at the high school. They worked with the feeders for what they would like to take, and the remaining items we'd like to just offer to students and staff if they're willing to take that, and then if whatever's not would be recycled. So that's for your information. We plan to move ahead with that unless there was a concern.
Kid living on the 3 snare guns. Any other district business this evening?
We will need to assign 2 members to review the closed session minutes. So you can assign 2 members.
Can't be
Two that aren't
officers,
here.
correct? I was gonna say.
Two that aren't
Yeah, that'd be easy.
I don't think it could be an officer, can it?
No, it can't.
Any volunteers, or do I really want to be that?
I think that's what is called for, Robert's Rule of Order.
So we will ask Mr. Janik and Mr. Lucetti to review those.
So move, bingo. I will work with them to get those minutes reviewed.
Second.
And no other
No
correspondence.
correspondence. Okay. With that, on that note, they made a couple enemies on the board. I would like to entertain a motion to move into closed session for discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, establish the sale or lease price of real estate, and litigation.
So we'll
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
There will be no action.
There will be no action after closed session this evening, folks.
And we'll be staying here